Kate, this will be your final critique for your final project in Art 828 photography. Thanks for coming along on the journey in class. I've enjoyed watching your images and the evolution here, and it's great to see this come together in your final portfolio. As you state in your artist statement, photography is not your main, by any means, medium you play with or use, but I'm glad you're seeing the artistic potential of it here too. It is so often thought of as documentary. But the beauty of it, as I see in this portfolio, some images that really capture, in essence, an artistic eye and an artistic use of photography. I would say most notably down here at the nest and the syringe and the reflection of water, all that stuff coming together and mixing together, to me, captures everything you're trying to say, and that's kind of nice to capture in one image. Now, of course, you can't just do one image; you got to have at least 15, and you got more than that here. And I thought you have brought many facets together, trying to communicate this. The interesting thing is these stage imageries, and you talk about these in regards to Sherman's work, and you see the potential in that. That's where I think you've created. Well, I think all of them are staged, and this one, and this image, and this image, and I love the box. I don't think I talked about or commented on it either. I kept thinking about that box image and what it should be done, or if it's good, or what. I just like it. As it sits, it's a nice image. But together, you in this body of work, you got a nice variety of things. You staged symbolic things, the paperwork, drugs. Some verbiage here, masks, so you're playing with all sorts of ideas. And I like how you connected to Sherman's work, which is clearly staged and meant to evoke an emotion of what you write, emotional response from the viewer. And I think that's what you're going for. And I think in some of these images you get that. Now, we'll look at starting with this. There's always hope. And it reminds me of a little story. I grew up with an aunt and uncle who ultimately adopted because they could not have children. And so, grew up with my cousin Jesse. And then lo and behold, like they were told that they would never have children. My cousin was 50, I think he was like 15 years old. And all of a sudden, my aunt and uncle were pregnant. They had moved well past trying. And it had come to terms, well, I don't know if they ever came to terms with it, but that they would never have a child, and then suddenly she was pregnant. So yes, there is always hope. And yeah, I don't know, this world is weird somehow. Now, as far as the photograph goes, setting it up there I think is nice. I don't know if this image is I don't know if I'm connecting to it, Maybe it would be better at the end after I've gone through all the images, and then I get this sense of hope. Or maybe it's just too static in the composition. I'll almost be better like if I were looking over your shoulder and you were writing it, just finishing it or something like that. More engagement activity. So this to me isn't one of those photographs that stands out in the portfolio. I see the reason for it. I think you've got a good idea. I think it could take some further exploration. The paperwork imagery, my gosh, I can't imagine just what a time-consuming, emotional, distressing process this has to be. And I hope the best for you and your husband. But I don't know that I get that from this image. What a long-winded way to say that. I like how you're playing with the masks here. As I posted earlier on this work, I thought it could be fun to put a smile on the mask, or if there was some more emotional content in that mask. The mask is very neutral, and your expression is very grave and serious. I thought, you find a new mask or something. I thought maybe you could just paste a smile on here or something just to play with that idea, that concept. Could have upped the game a little bit, I think, if we could do that. That's the thing with photography is it's so easy to push that button, and you've got an active composition here. It's well composed, but for me, not all of the details are quite perfect yet, and that's what I think it takes to really succeed in photography, because so many people are doing it, and it just ups everyone else's game. They have to be perfect, and that's hard. I'm telling you, that's hard. And it can be frustrating. I hear you. And yeah, so don't take it too much. I think you're doing a good job with this, and I think there's emotional content in this, and I think it could be pushed a little bit more. Then an idea again, well-composed image. Composition's good. Can't argue with that. It's just not striking me as emotionally, and suddenly it hit me what this image needs. I don't want to move that needle, but you know what I want to do? I want to use this. Like if I could put this in front of the reward of the faithful and have that I don't know if there's fluid in there, but if that fluid could act like a lens and warp that and emphasize that, and you put that across here, it might alter the composition in a negative aspect, because I like how this thing comes across here, and I like the shadow there. Maybe we need to add a second needle or something in here, a second syringe to do this, I'm thinking. But that could then utilize that in a visually conceptual manner to emphasize it and speak about that thing. And push that idea further and look at how these drugs can abstract and hopefully abstract and help us, help people who are trying to conceive do that. So that was rearrangement. Like I said, it's just not every detail is perfect, and that is so frustrating because you can't always see that. And it took me a long time looking at this image because I've seen it several times before I hit it like, oh, that's what should happen with it. And great. I came with that at the end. Yeah, thanks, right? So, again, well composed, active image. It fills in the gaps. I think you're telling a story here, you're telling a narrative, and these are important images, and they fill in the gaps. And not every image in a narrative work, in a photographic portfolio, is going to bam nail it and speak about everything and be emotional and connect to the viewer. And sometimes we need these images that are sort of bridge fillers. And this, to me, is an image that is a bridge filler. It's well composed. Has some stuff. We could even look at that previous image as a successful bridge filler, but I think that image has potential to be much more than a bridge filler, I like how you're pulling from the Bible. I like how you're thinking of faith. That shows the struggle. I like how you're bringing in the syringe and the process and the drugs and science and what we're trying to do to help people. That image has potential. This image, there's probably potential here, and I'm not saying you have to get rid of it. It's just not an awesome, great photograph. It can communicate everything you think and feel about this. It communicates what you're thinking about. It doesn't communicate what you feel. There's potential for both in this image. I am not seeing it here, though I'm not saying you need to get rid of it. I'm saying it's an important bridging image. As well as this one. Oh, now I'm starting to think differently in terms of the interaction. Like I like the little dribbly fluid. Like if that could have been out here on your name or something, because this is very personal for you. And if it could have been abstracting your name, which is in a sense you, that could have added and upped the game. So this image, I think, rearranging. Yeah, it's funny. I've been looking at these for what? I don't know. When did I first start commenting on these? A week ago. Sometimes it just takes time, and the process of photography can be frustrating because you know what you want. You got a sense of composition, and you got it there, But then just getting all the details perfect can be so frustrating, and can take a while, take a long interaction with this. I didn't like this image when I first saw it in the whole grouping. I'm like, it's the only one that's color, it didn't jump out. I see it now, and I really like this image a lot. I like this image a lot, and well composed. I like how the use of depth of field, the sharp, the Holy Bible back here, the science, the hope, the trying to succeed in your goal and everything you're going through, and all the effort that's been put in the society to help that come true for people. This image speaks a lot, and I really am finding it as I think about it and talk about one of the strongest images here. I like this image a lot too. I think there's a lot here. I think it's working. I don't have any ways to change it. I just think this image is better. I just love this photograph. It is killer, man. It is awesome. It's a great photograph. I'm telling you, there's so much here. You're using the symbolism well. You're using the tools of the process well. You're using the environment well. You're using the idea of reflection and distortion and abstraction and all those sorts of ideas of imperfection and all that sort of stuff well. To me, this is iconic. This is a great photograph. Good job. I like this photograph too. The other one, I don't think there's any, that's just a great photograph. Do something with it. Put it out there. Get it in shows. Render in exhibitions. It's a great photograph. I like this one too. Not quite to the level as the previous one, but I think rare photographs do. And that's the thing with photography, you know, we need these 15, 20 images. Rarely in that portfolio is every image awesome, and that's always your goal, but usually there's some that stand out more than others. This is a good photograph. I like how it speaks, uses good symbolism, nice use of depth of field, leading lines, that thing going in there. The environment background doesn't really add anything, but it visually connects, you know, rectangle, 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 all these lines in the foreground. You know, really connects. It's well composed, well done. I like this. I like the symbols. I love the idea of utilizing the clothes. I think, as I think I posted earlier, I said something there. I think you need to explore this more. This isn't a bad photograph. I think it's a nice photograph. And actually, I like the light on here and the textures and the emphasis, and again the, you know, the symbol of the process that you use, how it points, and you know, there's a lot of nice. I like how this points and this line points up here. I like this photograph. I think you could explore the stuff further, particularly the children's objects, you know, further and try and interact with, like if there's an interaction of you with those, hugging them, holding them, looking them, you know, whatever it would be. You know, I think there's more ways to play with this. This is a good one though. All right, yeah. I mean, I like how you're marrying the, you know, the science and the faith and the hope and the Bible and the drugs and biology. You know, this is well composed, well, good job, and this image brings lots of good ideas. You know, because there's so much in there. You know, of what we're doing culturally to help people achieve their goals. I like this image a lot. This box, this open box, these balloons. And then there's nothing there, and then that's a box, and I get a sense that it's empty. I don't think we need, like when I first started looking at these, I'm like, how do I show this empty box? So I flip it on its side, but you're going to lose something. You're going to lose the text, the content. And you show. I don't think you need to show that's empty. It feels empty. It feels like everything has come out there, and we're left with this box. I think you've pushed the contrast just a little too far on this, like seeing the grass. These blacks, they look lifeless and textureless. I would just back off on that a little bit. It's a really nice photograph. Good job. And again, I like this. The intensity, the gaze. You get a sense of concern. You know, the tears. There's emotion in here, and I think it's a really good photograph in this portfolio. You know, communicating that sense of your personal struggle, and yeah, it comes across. I like this image too. I just wish it was in focus, as I said earlier. You deal so well with the symbolism. You construct an image so well. You just kind of didn't quite get everything in focus. And I would like to bring it back. Maybe there's some symbolism in that being out of focus, but if that's what you want to do, I would exaggerate that further, and I would use an even wider aperture to get this even fuzzier, and then just have this in focus, your torso in focus. I would push that further if that's what you're trying to do. But as it stands here, I want everything in focus. It doesn't feel intentional. It feels just like you didn't quite get it perfect. And that's why if you want to focus, push it further. It's a good composition, well done, but not every detail, in my opinion, has been taken care of. So, yep, this is a nice photograph too. A lot of emotional content, very symbolic. I like the structure. I like the environment, the fence, the figure, the balloon, the reaching. Nice. So, and I always talked about, I like this image as well. I like the hair coming down. I don't know if the hair should be out of focus or in focus. It'd almost be interesting in having that in focus and this stuff out of focus, which is already out of focus. The focus is somewhere back here, actually. I'd like to adjust that focus a little bit. I'd actually rather bring that focus in the hair in the foreground and then let everything else go to focus instead of focus being on the environment. So, well composed though. Good use of symbolism, computer, and expression, body language. Says a lot in that previous one. Here's the little, you know, I would almost switch these around. This is like you're going, you're looking, you're digging for information, you're finding a way, you're motivated. This is that emotional sort of, oh, is this ever going to happen? You know, it feels like just so much an emotional toll is communicated in this photograph. I'd almost flip them around. They might get a little bit more narrative, or I'd split them apart or something like that. But I think at least this image should come before the other one. All right, and I guess there we are. We're at the end. So I guess in the end, maybe I'll leave it alone because thinking narrative aspects, you know, you lead with little hope, you lead with some energy, you lead with trying and doing, and so, you know, I kind of want to negate my previous comments. All right. I just want to thank you, Kate. Good job. I think you put a lot of work and effort in this portfolio, and I think it's paid off. You got a lot of good images. There's some I think that could use some improvement in there, but it's such a short word. It's just about impossible to come up with a perfect portfolio in this class. And that's if you looked at my message earlier today. I'm not grading you if it's ready for the MoMA or whatever it is. But that I'm seeing an honest effort. I'm seeing the process. You're thinking well. You're doing things on time. Doing all things on time. Good job, Kate. Keep going. I would encourage you to keep exploring this photographically, because I think you've got probably 5 or 6 images here, maybe even a few more that nail it. You get some more to that, add more to that, you could have a whole portfolio in there. So well done.